Good evening and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to take a look at this container and this container. In these two containers, last year I grew ornamental elephant ears. But if they did not overwinter, this year I am going to be placing some food over here that's a little bit similar, or maybe a lot of it. If you'd like to see what that is, stay tuned. First, I'm going to start by taking my mulch off the top of my container. And as you can see, I have a lot of mulch on here. So I kind of feel like this plant might still be alive. And if it is alive, I'm going to feed it, cover it back up, and leave it alone. I have an alternative area where I will put the food that I'm going to talk to you guys about in just a little bit, if this needs to be fed and left alone. I think elephant ears are really beautiful. I love how they move in the wind. I love the stature of them. Depending on where you have them, they can be really large plants. So I'm just going to gingerly pick back some of this soil and see what's going on here. I think I can already see a bulb right here. I think this is one, maybe. Yeah, that shows rot. So let's see. Let me take up this soil. And I tried to keep the soil moist but not soggy. And let me show you all this soil. Can you guys see? The soil is not at all wet. It is not moist. It may have a little bit of moisture in it, but you really can't tell. So I tried to keep it moist but not overly soggy, because in the wintertime they don't need that and they will rot if they're too moist. And with all of the mulch I had on there, I had a huge, let me show you guys. I don't know if you all saw that. I have a huge pot of mulch there. And so with all that mulch, it could possibly have rotted if it was overly moist. So let me dig down in here. I'm trying to go gingerly because I don't want to ruin a bulb if there are any in here alive. And this indeed was a bulb, and as you can see, it's rotted. Can you guys see that? So let me, and I'm going to leave this because this could be worm food. So I'm going to put that in my bucket. I'm going to speed this up and dig through here and see if I can find any bulbs that are still viable. And I'll be right back. I didn't find any bulbs or tubers of elephant ears in this pot, so I took all the soil out of it and I placed it inside of this turquoise bucket. Now I went and collected some leaves from around the yard and I filled this bucket up with leaves. Now I'm going to enrich this soil, place it back in the bucket, and then I'll show you what I'm going to be planting. So let's do that. And this is some nice soil, nice and rich. I did find some composting worms on the bottom of this pot. So I'm hoping that they will find their way into this container since I put all those lovely leaves in there. So I'm just going to take a few handfuls, and as you can see, as I am throwing handfuls of soil inside of this pot, it is compressing the leaves. I am going to put some harvested worm castings from out of my vermicompost bin, so let me get that. I harvested some worm castings from out of my vermicompost bin, and that is what this is right here. I hope you guys can see all of that in there. That is worm castings. It goes from the bottom of the container to about here. So I'm just going to place a handful of that inside of this container. So let me do that. All right, you don't need a lot of vermicompost. So I'm just going to take a handful like so and just sprinkle it in there just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some Osmocote. It is a 4-month release fertilizer. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of that in there. I'm just going to put 1 scoop. And it's a slow release. Hope you guys heard that. It's a slow release fertilizer that will release over a 4-month time period. I also have some Espoma vegetable fertilizer, vegetable herb fertilizer. This is 1/3 of a cup. So I'm going to sprinkle that in there like that. This is a pretty big container, so I'm going to sprinkle another one just like that. And then I'm going to mix that up. Now make sure when you're working with any type of fertilizer that's dry and loose like this is, that you're not downwind of it. Make sure that when you're placing it inside of your container that you are not inhaling those particles, because that could make you very, very sick. So I'm just going to use my hand and mix that in just like so. The flies are already out. It hasn't been spring but 20 minutes and we have flies. All right, so I just mix it in just like so. And forgive all the noise. There's a lot of noise out and about today. Lots of planes flying over. People are moving around, coming and going. So you're going to hear a little bit of noise, but I hope you can hear me. Now that I have placed some fertilizer in there, I'm going to continue to add more soil, just taking handfuls and putting it in the container like so. And this is my drip irrigation tube, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. Sorry about that. I think I hit the tripod. All right, now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a hole just like so, and I am going to place some sardines and water in here because I want this container to be able to feed. Pour that water off and open it up and place the sardines in there like that. Now I'm going to take some some soil, cover that over. Now before this pot gets to be too full of soil, now I'm going to show you guys, or everyone, not just guys, let me show everyone what I'm going to be sowing in this container. This is my Toro root. It has begun to wake up and I really need to get it out of this dollar store bucket. You guys can see that bucket. I need to get it out of here. As you can see, it is beginning to wake up. It needs more room. Toro root really should be grown in ground, but if you're new to my channel or if you're returning to my channel, you know that I garden in containers. It can grow in containers, but it's possible for you not to get much of a tuber growth, which is what you want out of Toro root. You can use the leaves as well. I believe the stems as well. All of Toro can be eaten as long as it is cooked, but I need to get it out of here because it's been in here for a year. It is coming back because it's overwintered, and I need to allow it to spread out. So this is what I'm going to be planting in this container. So let me get this ready to put in the container. I'm going to try and dump the fertilizer. I keep saying fertilizer. For some reason, fertilizer is on my brain today. I want to make sure that I don't, that I do fertilize. I need to take the top of this mulch off. So I'm just going to see if I can dip it over into this pot without it all falling out. But I don't want to crush my tops and my leaves and my stems. I don't want to do that. So I was able to get some of that. And I also have some fertilizer in this container. And as I topple this over, I can see new babies, shoots popping up. But I do have fertilizer sitting on the top of this soil. I'm sure you all probably can't see too well. I was probably out of the shot. But I'm trying to get all of this off the top so that I can get this out. But I do see there are some baby shoots popping up in there. So let me get this off the top and I'll show you what I do next. Now what I've done is I've turned my bucket over onto its side, and as I'm beginning to peel back the soil, I'm seeing that there's some beautiful worm action in this soil. So I must have placed some of my worm castings in this soil some time ago, and it has a beautiful worm colony in here. So I'm going to try not to be too disruptive. I think I might have placed a few of them inside the bucket. So I'm just going to scrape a few like that and make sure that I don't leave any worms in my bucket. I want them, of course, to be in my containers. So what I've done is I've just pressed down on this. I hope you guys could see. I pressed down on the side of my bucket, and I do apologize if my head was in the way. My camera is in a precarious location because I'm limited on space over here. But I pressed down on the sides of this bucket and I rolled it as I pressed to loosen up this soil. This soil is nice and moist. Elephant ears really love moist soil, not soggy, soppy, but moist. It grows well in a moist environment. And Toro is a part of the elephant ear family. It's an edible elephant ear. And so as I look and see the worm colonies living in there, they're trying to get deep down in the soil. I need to be careful, but I am going to take this out of here. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. And I need to put it in there like that. And I want to make sure that if there's any soil in here that consists of worms, that I get it out and put it in a container, because the goal is to have worm castings in all of the containers. And if that means a worm colony, then that's what that means. So let me move the camera so you guys can see me get this inside of this container. I did not want to disrupt the soil around the elephant ears too much. So what I did was I just made a hole in this container and placed that entire root ball of Toro root inside of the container. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to see if I can knock some of the soil back. Now that is going to disrupt some of the worms because they were, of course, near the surface, but that's all right. I'm going to knock it back a little bit, as you can see. There we go. Hopefully I'm not hurting the worms too much. But I can see them. They're all like, oh no, oh no. So I'm just going to take some of the soil that I have in my blue bucket that I did pull back, and I'm going to add that into the container like so. And the reason I did not want to disrupt the root ball is because it was growing so well and it wasn't root bound. There weren't a lot of roots that were wrapping around that bucket, so I got it just in time. And I need to put some soil in the back like so, and I am going to firm it around like that. And now this soil is going to drop down because I put so many leaves in here, but I knew that I was going to have some worms, and so they're going to find plenty of food to eat. And so I just want to not crush it. Now I'm going to water this in. I'm not going to do that right this second, but what I am going to do is I'm going to take that mulch that I took off the top of this pot and I'm going to put it back. And that way it's going to keep the top surface of this container moist like this plant likes, and hopefully this will grow well here. I'm just going to take this off here and plop it on the top. Now this also has leaves in it, and I probably should have maybe tried to break up, but I didn't want to break this up. If I do need to split this, I will do so next year. I'm not going to harvest this year. I'm going to let it be and grow on one more year, and I may end up splitting it next year. I want it to be able to grow for me to where when I do harvest it, it's going to be a really significant harvest. So I am going to water this in, but I'm also going to go to this pot, this red pot, and see if I have any bulbs in there. This is where an elephant ear was, and I can see that this is death, it died. So I'm going to see if there's anything in there, and if there is no elephant ears in here, I'm going to put some food in here as well. At this particular moment, I think I know what I'm going to put in here, but I'm not quite sure. So let's investigate what's in here. So let me move you guys over. What do you guys think of the Toro root? I'm going to put some information in the description box below about what Toro is and how you can use it. This has been in my garden for about a year. I didn't harvest it last year. I think last year I purchased it, put it in the garden and left it. I put it in the outdoor greenhouse. It overwintered, and as you can see, it is coming back. It has some baby shoots coming up that you all cannot see under here. Hopefully I didn't disturb them when I pressed down a little bit. I didn't press down too hard because I didn't want to smush the worms, and I didn't want to hurt the babies that are popping up around here. So I'm going to water this in once I'm done. But this is Toro root, and I've been doing really well. I went ahead and got a plant stake, and this is a slate plant stake. If you're interested on where I purchase my plant stakes, I will put some information in the description box below so that you can look into them for yourself. These are slate, and all you do is you use a little marker, like a chalk marker or a piece of chalk, and erase it and use it again for whatever else you're going to be planting. So I'm enjoying them, and I hope to have these for a very long time. So in the pot that goes, I still have a elephant ear, but this time this is a edible elephant ear. So let's go over to this pot and see if I have anything in here that might be ornamental. I hope you guys can see. I have my little gnome that I think was my mother-in-law's. My husband gave this to me, and so that's my little gnome. I actually repainted him, and he looks like he's missing a hand. As a matter of fact, he is missing a hand. He's a one-handed gnome. So I need to repaint his face, but I did repaint last year his pants and his jacket and his hat and his gloves. So that is Nomio. So this is the drip irrigation that I'm going to take out. I'm going to move my fertilizer out of the way so I don't knock it over and spill it. Let me move Nomio one more time. All right, so now I just need to take off all of this mulch. Even with all of this mulch, the elephant ears that were ornamental did not survive the winter that we had. I did not cover these up. I just left them here. I tried covering them up the year before and they died. I did not cover them up. I just mulched them heavily, and as you can see, they died. So they are not good for this climate. I would have to purchase more tubers, and that's not something I want to invest in this year. Not ornamental elephant ears. It's time to invest in food. So I am just taking this out. So let me do this and I'll be right back. I've removed the mulch from off the top of the soil. The soil is somewhat moist. It's nice and loose. The mulch was dry, but as the further you go down, you can see that the soil has some moisture to it. It's not sopping wet, but I feel like this is going to be the exact same experience as the other pot. This is going to be nothing but dead. I can see there was one here and there was one there. So I'm going to use my little tool and remove the soil from around and do the exact same thing that I did in the other pot and see if I have any that are alive. This is nothing more than a dead tuber. Can you guys see? It's completely rotted out. Oh, look, there's a nice little wormio. Look at that little wormy. Look at him. I'm going to place him right here on the top of the other container. So I'm glad to see that I do have worms in here. That is indeed a plus. So I'm just going to dig around and see if I can dislodge. I love this little scooper. It has little serrated edges. It has measurements. Hope you guys can see. It has measurements in the center. Can you guys see that? You probably can't see it, but it has measurements in the center. Centimeters and what looks like millimeters, and it has serrated edges. Love this soil scoop. Makes light work of what I'm doing. So I am just going to dislodge that, give it a good shake, take a look, and it looks like it's dead. Yes, that right there is rot. All of that is rot. And there it looks to be some worms there. So yep, look at the little wormios. Look at the wormies. So I'm going to place this over here because the worms apparently like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. Hope that worm shot didn't gross anybody out. And take a look at this one. And this is also dead. Trying to see if there are any worms. I'm not seeing any. But there could be some in the inside. Alright, so this one is also dead. So I'm going to just place that over there for just a minute. And look what I found. The dreaded little, look at that little bugger. Pick him up. Look at that little bugger. That is a grub. And I do believe they turn into the June bug. He's not dead. He's just dormant, hanging out. So he's going to go bye-bye. So I'm going to toss him out and make him go away. Now, usually I would leave the roots inside of the container, but I'm going to take out some of these roots. I am going to be planting some food in this container, and I do believe I've decided on what that's going to be. I think I might place some turmeric and ginger in this container. So I'm going to just clean this out And I'm not going to plant those 2 items today because we are going to be getting, look, more worms. You guys probably can't see that, but that's a worm right there. That little guy. So I'm going to place him in there. I'm trying to be gentle in here. I don't want to do too much disruption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out some of these roots. I'm going to put some fertilizer in this container, and then I'm going to let this sit until the weather changes. I think I was mentioning that our weather is going to turn cool the next couple of days. We're going to have some very cool evenings, like in the I think that's a flower seed. Put that over there. I get sidetracked, y'all. Sorry about that. It's like squirrels when I see a flower seed. I think I put some calendula in here, and I'm seeing what looks like could be calendula seed. But yes, over the next couple of days, we are due to get some very cool evenings, like 39 degrees, I want to say, in the late 30s or something like that. And today, believe it or not, it was in the 90s today, and it was raining like crazy all day yesterday. So I'm just trying to work in the garden around the weather, and I do not want to plant my turmeric or ginger over here. I am going to move the Toro because I think I'm going to drop the worm on the ground. Yep. Oop, sorry about that, y'all. I got distracted. A worm fell on the ground. We can't lose a worm. So I am going to cover up the Toro to make sure that it does not get damaged because of the cool nights. It has been sitting in the outdoor greenhouse with the door open, so it should be okay, but I don't want to take the chance. So if you all like this kind of content, hit that bell. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Leave me a comment. And I want to thank you all for watching today. I know it was probably a little bit chaotic. There's so much going on in my head. It's been a crazy couple days with the rain and the wind and tornadoes and the next town and just nuts. But all you can do is just take the best care of yourself and your family as you can. So with that being said, I want to say thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank all of my subscribers, old and new, and those that watch that aren't subscribers. I want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate you watching. I appreciate all the comments I get. And until next time, have a great evening, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.